Egberto, good morning. I know with this you're with us in.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Absolutely so. We have quite a bit of stuff. Well, actually, two videos to start out with, well, to talk about. But of course, we're going to get busy telling you guys hi and all of that good stuff. As I get all of this queued up, I'm still queuing quite a few things up. So bear with us as we get all ready to get busy. You know, sometimes we get started late. Well, actually, we didn't get started late. It's just that getting some of the videos processed so that we could get it out to you was not the was a little bit slow. Come on, I got to turn this baby off. There we go. That's off. All right, was a little bit slow, and in the process, you know how that goes. So I am in the process of getting some other things queued up on our system. And as soon as I'm done queuing, we will get started with the introduction of all of my peeps that are already here good and early. So we're getting it done. We're almost done. We're getting there. We're almost there. So bear with me. As I said, we are almost there. I think we're almost there. And I'm going to be starting in a very, very good minute. And as I speak, I almost have it here. All right. Okay. 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 That other one is cute. Ok, está bien. Estamos para comenzar. Estamos listo para todo. All right. Welcome aboard. Let's see who we got here. El señorita or señora Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York, upstate New York. AVQ's not feeling too well today, listening for a little while. AVQ, take your vitamins, my brother. Take your vitamins. I know you probably do, but you need to, we like to have you when you're nice, hot, and oh, look at that. I got that on the screen. I got to put that one on the screen like yesterday. Check this out, guys. Look who got my book, Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean. There we go with Bridge MCP. Bridge, I had to put that up right away, and I'm going to leave it up for a little while. A little bit of propaganda for my book. All right, Bridge MCP says, Egberto, look what I got. Much love. Michael Rudden not feeling also well. Michael, we want you to feel better, brother. Paul Fleming says, so this is news. Federal law clerks have crucial roles in judicial system. For two of Judges canon law clerks to quit in the midst of their clerkship is wildly unusual. Thank you for pointing that out. I did hear about that one, Paul. So anyway, Paul is from Atlanta, Georgia. AVQ, meaning Michael Rudnick, is from Brooklyn, New York. Linda update. Linda will be released if her pressure checks out. Ashley just called me just before the show. If the pressure checks out, they will be on their way today. They'll be starting the discharge papers in another hour. She's still very weak. She still has a droop on her face, meaning one side of her face is still paralyzed. She's very weak. Her swallowing is still problematic, but all seem to be improving. So I would say that's a positive update. Bridge MCP. Lee Grant says, hey, y'all. Lee from Montgomery County, right out here. Thank you for being here, brother Lee Grant. Paul Flemings says nearly 80,000 public service workers, including teachers, nurses, and firefighters, will have their student loans forgiven Thursday, according to the statement from the Biden administration. Read below. I actually have that from Common Dreams, and I think I have it. Actually, it's one of the topics that we are covering today. So thank you very much for that. Of course, let's see who else we got. Eric Hayes says forcing people is not democracy. The EV mandate costing jobs lost via Ford losing billions. That's a lie, of course, but you believe your sources. Good luck. We have to save the environment, and it's not about forcing people. If you you are tantamount to saying the following, Eric. If we force people not to take cyanide, we're violating their freedom. Come on, it doesn't make any sense. What you're saying is we want to allow people to continue to poison us. Do you see how silly that is? Come on, wake up, grow up. All right. E2247 is in the house, he says. Day 167 since 7 of October. 31,988 Palestinians killed, 56 persons per day. Day 166, at least 74,096 wounded, 162 persons per day, 106,084 casualties. Here's the deal, E2247, and those numbers are conservative because we don't know what's under the rubble. I repeat, we don't know all that is under the rubble, and that should scare the holy bejesus out of us. All right, we have E2247 from all over the world. We have Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia as well. He says the New York judge who oversaw former President Trump's civil fraud trial imposed a monitor over the Trump organization as part of judgment that also required Trump to pay a nearly $500 million penalty. Barbara Jones, a retired federal judge, has been overseeing the Trump organization's finances since November 2022 as part of a preliminary injunction. She is now installed for the next 3 years. Ha! It's funny, you got to watch the thug. right? Trump the thug must be watched. His corporations must be matched. BDMCP says, good news, but she is definitely doing better. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. She's definitely doing better. Eric says, nothing like being home. You're absolutely right, brother Eric. And you know what? It helps a lot. It has been difficult because the way I've been doing it is I'm at the hospital. I sleep at the hospital because I will not have a loved one at the hospital by themselves. If you see how look, the nurses are overworked, mistakes are made because they're overworked, and a lot more. So I am there with her, take her to the bathroom, do all the kind of stuff that alleviate that nurse from having to do that, which means that nurse can service the other 5 or 6 people she's in charge of with more efficiency. And so when you are there, you're helping out the nurses. But the problem that I hate about it is you're also making a profit for the damn creeps who keep the system the way it is. These guys are thugs. Those executives who are in charge of hospitals, this one here is supposedly a nonprofit hospital. The guy who runs it, $4 million a year. Come on, that we could have hired more nurses instead of giving him $4 million a year. So that's my little spiel right there. So yeah, Eric, you're right. Nothing. It's great to be home. Egberto, great news. Thank you, E2247. Paul Fleming says Fannie Willis, the embattled Fulton County District Attorney, plans to press ahead with her goal of putting Donald Trump on trial before the November election and intends to ask the judge presiding over the Georgia criminal case to schedule a trial date as soon as this summer. Thank you, girl. Lift your head up high and move it forward. Mike Cisak, welcome. Mike Cisak is from Missouri. I don't remember the town in Missouri, Mike. Can I have my tractor loan forgiven too, since it seems Democrats are all for spending other people's money on their supporters? That's not what happens at all. But if you want, let me remind you how many subsidies we have for farmers because well, let me just say, I like the idea of subsidizing our farmers because of many issues, and our farmers do get subsidized in many areas. I think they do need more. I think that's the only way capitalism works, given that you guys are the source of initial food supply. I don't want to get into that right now. It's another subject, but we need to provide a lot more support for our farmers. So, Mike Cisak, I don't know. I would love for your loan for your tractor to be forgiven under certain conditions, just like people's loans have been forgiven for schools. People that are working in public interest. There are a lot of calculations used to give those student loans. It's not just, hey, I took out $10,000 in student loans and I just get it paid off. That's not how it works. I know that's how Fox News tells you it works. That's not how it works. All right. Carl Cox says Trump and his cult followers are devil worshippers. I'm not going to go there, brother Carl Cox. We don't need to go there. We don't need to do that. We leave that for for we don't need to go there. We don't need to go there. Maywood says, good afternoon, everyone. Had a little. Thank you for being here, Maywood. Maywood is from Long Beach, California. Carl Cox is from Florida. And of course, our first call today is from my brother, Ray. Come on in, Ray. How you doing today, my dear brother?
Brother Egberto, yes, I just wanted to first say well wishes to your dear wife and your
Well,
dear daughter. And
thank you, sir. And I want to
well,
thank you for your
I got
super
more.
chat 2 days ago. Super chat two
Oh,
days ago.
oh,
Thank you so kindly, brother. I appreciate that.
oh, and it was my pleasure, brother. Like I say, I mean, times is hard right now, and I mean, I know you appreciate every little bit, like you said, cup of coffee,
There you
and that's
go.
all you ask for, and that's a small ask for everything that you do, and I just want to thank you and thank them for lending you off to us with your talents, for 2 hours a day, plus all of the extra work you do when we don't see you, and I appreciate it, and I want to actually reflect on, your segment you had mentioned about, yeah, you're welcome, sir. I'm like I say, I'm privileged to have been in your presence and still be in your presence every day online and on the radio. So, but I did have something I wanted to say. So, yeah, I want to mention, like you were talking about the UN's happiness report. I'm
Mm-hmm.
very keen to this happiness report because,
Yes.
before I started watching you every day, I did used to liken the musings of Mr. Bill Maher on HBO, who was more progressive before Trump. Now he's kind of taking a neoliberal turn, but he used to, refer to this happiness chart, quite often. And he always said how low we were. And I always said, we always, America always likes to brag, we're number one, and I always wondered whatever happened to that we're number one spirit. And I always thought if America wanted to aim for number one in something that really matters, I feel like this is something we should actually take account of. But the powers that be in their greed don't want that because that would actually require the masses getting a piece of what they already have stolen and don't want to give up. And they don't want to pay their taxes. And the thing about being a billionaire is not only do you not pay taxes, you get tax rebates on money that you didn't even earn. So it's like basically they're giving you money for having money. It doesn't make any sense at all. And the poor man has to figure out if he wants to give more of his check to the government today and struggle, or does he want to give a little bit more, later on and then pay a check. You know how it works basically. I was in that situation where I had to decide if I was going to pay more taxes throughout the year and struggle and get the tax refund, or would I just get more of my money that I earned and just, pay the tax bill. And when I did the math, it actually factored in better to just pay the tax bill.
Yes, it's always, whenever you sit down and pay too much to Uncle Sam and have him then give you the money back at the end of the year, you are loaning money to the IRS tax free. By the end of every year, I make sure I don't pay taxes until October of the next year. I take all the grace that I can. I to maximize to minimize what I do. I do believe, however, in paying taxes, like you and all of us do, because we believe in service. But at the same time, we don't want to do more than that billionaire is actually doing. In fact, we want to get back from that billionaire. And I'm glad you said something about why aren't we? We always want to be number one. One of the best places to be number one, as you stated, my brother, is in happiness. And it's not hard for us to make America the happiest place in the world because America has the most to offer. I mean, you know what is great about America? I don't know how much travel you do around the country by road, right? But I've driven from Texas to California, all through the deserts. I've driven from Texas to DC and Massachusetts and Florida and all of that. America is a
Can I
beautiful,
interrupt you right quick,
beautiful. Yes, go
Egberto?
ahead. Yes, yes.
And I love your open spirit about exploring America, but I'm scared of sundown towns. If you ever heard of that, and
Yes, I have.
but
Let me
carry
tell you.
on. Yes, sir.
No, I hear you about the sundown town, and it caught me before going through the Ozarks in Missouri, and I stopped at a restaurant, and the lady that this is a quick digression, folks. Stick with me. We have a great show, but I want to tell Ray this. This is important since he brought up sundown cities, right? We went. We were going to Braxton, uh, Missouri, right? That new Las Vegas of the area, and we went to this friend of mine. We decided we were going to do some exploring in the mountains, and we saw this restaurant, and we were going to go over there and order some food to take home to the girls who were in the uh, B&B. It wasn't a B&B then; it was another thing that they called it, but it was an apartment, and we went in there and we ordered some catfish and some other stuff. And the girl came, she took the order and she said, okay. And then she, very nice young lady, blue eyed, blonde, very nice lady. And then this guy came out, this ruffled white guy came out with beard. And he said, we don't have any catfish. And I was green. I'm like, but she said we had catfish. And CJ, my good brother from another mother from he was about 15 years older than me, and he's a born American in the South, right? So he's like when the guy came out and he had a kind of a frown, and people at the pool table and stuff, I did notice they were looking at me, but I didn't think anything about it, right? And he said, Egberto, let's get the hell out of here. And I'm like, but she said we had catfish. We can wait for the catfish. It's okay. And the guy said, we don't have any catfish. And CJ is like, Egberto, let's get the hell out of here. And we left. So I am familiar that there are areas in this place where we still have that. I can tell you some stories of Lakey, Texas as well. Actually, I told that one in my book, but thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell the audience that for folks who don't quite know that kind of stuff, Ray. But anyway, America is a beautiful country. It's a beautiful, scenic. I mean, I've driven all over the country, and there's no reason why we aren't the happiest people. But what we have to do is communicate, in my humble opinion. And what we have to do is what we do here and expand it along. I don't know if you're listening to my show in the mornings, where we get a lot of right wing callers, right? I don't know if you've noticed it yet, Ray, but you can see a definite coming, folks. These guys on the right showing that communications actually work, and that even though they're hesitant to make the change, they want. You can see that communication can work. But anyway, Ray, give me what you have to say before I continue with the show.
Well, you also said another thing to the point of taxes. You know, the rich don't pay their fair share when it comes to Social Security either,
Right.
and they actually have a cap on what they get to pay. Like, you
Yes.
know, but for some reason we normalize that. Let's normalize the rich paying, you know, their fair share of Social Security taxes.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what we have to do, in my humble opinion. Most Americans don't feel they are deserving, right? They have a certain amount of loyalty to the wealthy, not realizing that the wealthy looks down at them and see them as peons. The wealthy looks down at them and see them as indentured servants. So what we have to do is we have to get the mystique of the wealthy out of the minds of people. We have to let America know that these are not people that are there to serve you or that really have anything over you. In fact, they need you more than you need them, right? But it's a learning process because we've been indoctrinated from our inception that there's something associated with wealth that makes you deserving of said wealth. And what we have to do is break that glass ceiling or break that glass, get you out of that glass bubble into believing that there's something special about these rich people. The only thing about these rich people is they have been able to use capitalism to hurt you and help themselves. And that's what we are that's the goal of a lot of the work that we have to do. Anything else, brother?
Okay, well, actually, I'm going to piggyback on what you said. I'm really going to go now. You had hit the nail on the head because neither Elon Musk with his pot belly nor what his name is,
Bezos,
Jeff
Jeff
Bezos,
Bezos, right?
with his Doctor Evil pasty looking behind is better than us, and they don't
No,
deserve to sit back, you know, and just watch everybody, you know, slave away and then go to these big meetings and say, look at all the work that I did. No,
e-
you pay.
exactly, exactly. Remember, whenever and it irks me because our media helps put that stereotype out. There, one of Musk's companies just came out with a brain insert that allowed a quadriplegic to control a keyboard. And the way it was announced is like Elon Musk has just come out with a new device that allows a paraplegic to use the computer. So when you advertise it that way in a news program, people associate Elon Musk, intelligent, great guy, deserving of the billions he has. What that story doesn't tell is all the technology that went into that device for that quadriplegic came from university studies all over the world and mainly in the United States. What it doesn't tell you is all the engineers and scientists that built that product are the ones who did this, and all he did was pull the capitalist string. Elon Musk doesn't know how to program a computer. There's an article that talks about when he tried to do some SQL programming or whatever, how bad it was. Bill Gates, I love Bill Gates, but he's not the best programmers. I actually saw some of Bill Gates' additions to the BIOS and some other stuff on the PC in the very early days when he used to do a whole lot of stuff in BASIC. He's not a very, I mean, these guys are great capitalists. In other words, they know how to use an economic system to let everybody else do the work. And when we get that in our minds, this isn't envy of the rich or anything like this. This is just how things really are. We are the ones that produce. Everybody in my chat right now have a service and a product that they have produced for this country, right? And somebody is on top of them directing the cash flow for what they're going to pull out of it. And it is our job to let people know that absent what they do, there ain't no Musk, there ain't no Gates, there ain't no Bezos, and we have to change that paradigm. But anyway, thank you so kindly for calling, Ray.
All right, thank you, Egberto. And
Have a
I'm
wonderful
gonna say,
day.
just like you, I'm supporting the Democratic candidate in the presidential race. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one, sir. All right, let me run down the chat real quick, and then I'm going to get to the first video. All right, let's see. Eric Hayes says 6 billion loan forgiveness on the backs of taxpayers is unethical. Again, remember what I talked to you, Eric. You and I are going to talk when we meet in person. We're going to really have a talk about the slave mentality and indentured servitude mentality that has been instilled in us. Because when you make a statement like that, it shows that you don't get it. Alistair Waters says, I can't converse, just listen. Alistair, we'd love to have you however you come, my dear. May Wood says, trouble getting here today. I hope it gets better. Thank you for all the commentary you're making. E2247, can't read all of them right now. Paul Fleming says, News Nation Q, would you agree this impeachment inquiry is basically over? Of course it's over. It's been a sham all along. Bruce Pollard says, do the ag subsidies favor the big corps? Absolutely. In fact, the big farms are the ones who get most of the subsidies, and the good farmers, like, let's say, our brother Mike Cesek here, get screwed. And when he gets screwed, he wants to blame the progressives. It's not the progressive screwing you. Remember what Trump's ag secretary said. I don't remember his name. He was from Iowa. I think he was a former governor of Iowa or something. He said most family farms are going to be gone. That's just the truth about it. That is what Trump's secretary of agriculture said. So there he's saying, to hell with the farmer. To hell with the personal farmer, it's gone. Look it up if you doubt what I'm saying. Michael Rudnin says Biden managed to get less than 10% of student loans forgiven, and the right-wing bubble freaks out. I think that higher education should be free. I agree. And that all student loan debt should be cleared. I agree. Meantime, we've got young people struggling to pay off the interest on their loan, eventually paying more than double their debt, and of course, wasting the economy. Look, look, Rudnin, it's more than double. They get screwed royally, and the banks make the money when they're loaning you the money. I'm not talking federal, but they make the money when they're loaning you money. The corporations get your education for free because a lot of the states don't charge them the taxes to educate you. So they're getting free education. And then a lot of these corporations are invested in banks. So they get money. They're paying you for the education that others have given you. And then at the same time, they make a profit on the loans. So it's all a circular capitalist loop. We shouldn't subsidize anyone. It distorts the market. There ain't no market. The market by definition is distorted. It's why small family farms are quickly dying. No, family farms are quickly dying because that's what capitalism does. Capitalism, if you have the large corporations that can grow at a faster pace than small family farms, what that means is by definition the family farm dies. It's not a market distortion. It's the way capitalism works. Capitalism says the following. You have to maximize the profits for the shareholder, and the shareholder and the corporate executives. No questions asked. Ask Milton Friedman. Look it up on Wikipedia and see what Milton Friedman talks about the social responsibility of corporations. None. And there ain't no market. The market is a figment of your imagination. All right. The market is a corrupt system of people who control how goods and services are distributed. If you want to have a sensible conversation on that, we can. But there's no real market out here. No real market out here. All right. Let's see what else. Gatlin Combo, welcome aboard. Says to the person who wants his tractor loan forgiven, yes, your tractor loan should be forgiven, just like people should have their student loan debt be forgiven. Mike Cisak says New Zealand did away with their heavily subsidized agricultural market over a decade ago, and farmers there are flourishing now. But there are other reasons why farmers there are flourishing now. Famine other places, you got a lot more market to get. It's that simple. It's not magic, my friend. It's not magic. All right, continuing with the program. Uh, Gatlin Combo says, you are an effing farmer. You are so essential. You should not have any debt. And people go to college in order to make the world better. Most of them, at least. You shouldn't be in debt for that. You know, it's funny, right? Gatlin Combo, I think you're sort of on the left. And Brother CSAC is is very much on the right. You are supporting policies to make his life better, but he is so indoctrinated into the fallacies of this market economy that doesn't exist that he doesn't see that you are helping him make create a happier life. And that is why I talk about the self-hate that we learned to adapt in our culture. It is this thing that we have to get around. Wow, I'm a lot of commentary. Brit says Biden's calls for a $20,000 in debt cancellation for borrowers who are recipients of Pell Grants, which, according to the Education Department, is a federal grant that is awarded to undergraduate students with an exceptional financial need and have an annual income of under 125,000 for individuals and 250 for families filing jointly. The plan also calls for 10,000 of loan forgiveness for all other federal borrowers with the same income limits for individuals and families. The administration said it will eligible borrowers claim their relief. The move will provide support for 43 million borrowers, including canceling the full remaining balance for roughly 20 million borrowers. The White House also said it estimates that among borrowers who are no longer in school, nearly 90% of the relief will go to those earning less than $75,000 a year. I mean, if we can give corporations tax breaks for nothing, we can do this as well. Paul Fleming says Trump's invite to major donors prioritize the committee paying his legal bills over the RNC. Isn't he a billionaire? No, he's not. And his assets are likely so leveraged, and that's why he can't take a mortgage out to cover the loan. Check this out. If Trump thinks that appealing he can win, it shouldn't be difficult for him to get one of his properties, take out a mortgage on that property, and give the money to the state. And when he wins, if he were to win the appeal, he will get the money back. But it shows you that even his assets are corrupt because the fact that he can't get a mortgage on these assets mean that more than likely these assets are one of two things: overvalued or not owned by him. The guy has always been a con man. All right. Gatlin Combo said there are still companies that want to hand money to him. Not yet. I mean, right now he's having problems. Let's see what comes across on Monday. I'm really, really curious to see what happens on Monday. Sundown Town, Altoona and Cairo, Illinois. Yep, I've heard of that. I've heard of a few in Oregon as well. You know, let's see what else we got. Cue the law and order, the dumb music. The New York Attorney General leans served to freeze the assets so Trump can't access dissipate it to avoid being used to pay the New York 464 judgment. Two clerk tell me that the New York AG has effectively placed liens on everything Donald Trump owns in Winchester County. Her target, Seven Springs, his 212-acre forested family estate. Story at Daily Beast. Good for them. Good for them. CSAC says it's obvious that leftists don't believe in the law since people who take a loan sign a contract. Well, I mean, the people who ran the economy into the ground that we bailed out, they also signed contracts, right? But you're okay with them getting that, but somehow the average American citizen, not so much. Lee Grant says in Texas we like legal immigration. Abbott is trying to keep guys like this out of the state. Nope, Abbott is a criminal. And let me play what I did on one of the shows now. Pause right now and listen to why Abbott is doing what Abbott is doing. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Egberto, good morning. I know you're with us in an anthem at that particular time and a song that a lot of people were very proud of. That's who they saw America to be. Now, there's a difference, I got it, between people coming through on a legal basis through the channels that were set up, of which there aren't very many, and they don't allow very many people in, and the people coming across the southern border. Is that a problem? Of course, if only because it's a perceived problem, politically and otherwise. The reality of it is it's a problem, and a lot of people feel like it's out of control. So let's talk about that. What's the cost to you, and what do you think long run is going to be the solution? Are we going to take, Kate said a minute ago, it's not practical for us to take 20 million people and throw them out. But Donald Trump's making it sound like maybe that's what's going to happen. And I'll guarantee you that one of the reasons why Greg Abbott, who did not originally use that word invasion, his attorney general, so many other people in the right wing in Texas politics did not use that. They thought it was irrational. But once it really caught fire in the very right wing electorate that is their base across Texas, then that phrase invasion became something that was important. And of course, that led to this current law that's been passed that allows any law enforcement person in Texas to essentially question any person that they think may be an undocumented immigrant, make them prove their status, and if they can't, start the process of taking them out of the state and pushing them back across the border, whatever it takes to get them out of Texas and out of the United States of America. So how do you feel about that? Let's talk about that this morning. Now, I have a lot of voices that I recorded yesterday, but we're going to skip those today to go to your voice, because after all, that's why you're here. Egberto, let's go to you for a second, my friend. You were talking about this morning. You watched all of this strangeness, the back and forth, yes, no, whatever, whether or not the Texas law was going to be into effect. At this particular moment, it is not in effect, at least not that we've heard since. It's been held back by an appeals court saying for various reasons, while it's still being under litigation, we're not going to allow it to take effect. Certainly there are some appeals to that underway in various courts right now, and it may be that the Supreme Court or other people reverse that later today. I have no idea. So how's this feeling to you? And you're a guy who's a very documented immigrant. How's it feeling to you to watch all this happen?
Look, if it weren't hurting so many people, I would think it's comical. But the lawyer that you had on before said something very important. She realizes that there's going to be an immigration industrial complex that if Donald Trump comes into power, there will be an immigration industrial complex that come into existence. You don't have to worry about us deporting 20 million people. Corporations will not allow the government to deport 20 million people because they need those people. What they will do is they'll create a show. The show will be for little corporations that don't matter all that much, that have a lot of undocumented workers, for a few cities that have a few extra undocumented workers not yet employed. They will make a show out of that. They'll spend a whole lot of money to give money to their friends to create holding tanks, to create all these other infrastructures to keep these undocumented people. And they'll put a lot of people in there because what they know is that they will have a constant supply of these people coming to the border. So as they throw some out, more will be coming in. So we will continue to have that steady supply of undocumented workers to work in our fields, to work in our factories, etc. This is a game being played on American people because this is making a whole lot of money with your tax dollars to go ahead and make the immigration industrial complex enrich a few. But there is another caveat that I hope you had mentioned, Brother Hunter, and that is a lot of the reason we have that steady supply of people coming at the border. The problem isn't the border or putting a wall up at the border. The border is the policies around these different countries where these people are coming from. Haiti and the rice policies.
Yeah, well, looking at what's happening in Haiti, how can you blame somebody fleeing from there and trying to get to the U.S. if they possibly can? Maybe the only safe place, because even Mexico is sometimes on the edge of the narcos running it. Go ahead, my friend.
Right. So we have to look at our policies around Central South in the Caribbean is sort of feeding that amount of people coming at the border. But we don't talk about that here in America because we only look at things in a shallow manner. So I love the Neil Diamond song because the Neil Diamond song has always been aspirational. I came to this country after the type of song that Neil Diamond speaks about, what we all thought about America, those of us that are overseas and see this as a promised land to come. And
bought the story. They bought the story, right? You bought it.
Exactly. And so that America is is the best country at marketing. You know, I mean, French people thought they wanted. There's a thing that Michael Moore did about with French people wanting to migrate to the United States, and he did a simple test with that French person, and he said, "By the way, you know you don't get 6 weeks of vacation." "Oh, really?" "By the way, you know you don't get health care unless you pay for it, and maybe you can't afford it." "Oh, really?" You don't get maternity leave, right?" "Oh, really? You don't?" "Oh, I thought it was the promised land." So. We are great at marketing who we are and what we are, but we are still, those of us that are doing this kind of a work are still trying to make ourselves live up to what we tell people we are.
Well, let's let some people comment on that.
Yeah, and that's the idea. We are trying to, those of us that are progressives, those of us that are doing this work, we are trying to make America live up to all the things those of us that are from other parts of the world. There is a picture that we have of America. There is this, I mean, and look, I came over here and did well. I came over here and formed companies. I came over here and got a great education for which I've thanked every single taxpayer in this country because it was the right thing to do. And I've paid way more in taxes than taxes have paid to get me the portion of taxes that got me through the University of Texas, a portion of taxes that have done everything. So I paid my dues in hundreds of thousands of dollars, way more than in taxes over and over the years. And that was an investment. The taxpayer, when we pay taxes to educate people, when we pay taxes to make sure their health care is good, when we pay taxes to make sure that they live a life not worrying about how life is going to be when they're aged, that's an investment in people that pays off. And guess what's the biggest payoff? Happiness. And guess why we're going down in happiness? Because we continue to get this wealth disparity as the capitalists take your money, as they use you as a cash influx solely. That's what it's all about. All right. Let's see. Gatlin Combo says, yeah, this is why it's hard to get more Americans to vote progressive. They think it's unrealistic to have progressive policies. Not true. Progressive policy is makes people happy, and it's more fair. It is fair. It is the fair thing to do. Sorry that your internet is acting up, Brother Maywood. Gatlin says wealth is already being confiscated from working people and into the hands of rich people. And that's what a lot of folks don't realize. Inflation is wealthy corporations picking your pocket, right? Think about this. Inflation is corporate greed. It's wealthy corporations picking your pocket. And whenever I was on Nextdoor. It's a social media site for communities. I was on Nextdoor, and this woman was talking about, I don't go to restaurants anymore. Have you seen the prices of food at restaurants, which has gotten pretty high? And she said, yeah, we just make the food at home now. She said, so much for Bidenomics, right? So I wrote back a message that says, okay, and a long message, and she deleted it. She deleted her whole thread because I gave a great explanation as to why it's not Bidenomics. I said, could you tell me numerically, how do you attribute those high prices to Bidenomics? And then I went ahead and I said, if we continue to attribute these high prices and other bad things to a government, we are actually taking corporations off the hook. Why not look at XYZ? And I gave her a complete explanation, and people started to love it. And I'm in a red community, but I explained it in such a detailed, non-confrontational manner and I showed the directions as far as how it worked. These people in Kingwood and Atascocita, they were bang, 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 loving it. And so every so often, every time somebody loved it, I get an email. So I went, the last email that I got went to disappeared. I'm like, what happened? The woman not only, the woman deleted the entire thread because what she realized is that it was silly. When people just say, oh, Bidenomics or Biden inflation, it shows limited thinking. And she felt so small when she said Bidenomics, and then I gave that that explanation where she should be putting her ire against the corporations and people in Kingwood, people that some of the people I went and look and see the kind of messages that they have, and these are conservative people, and I'm like, wow, they're actually, again, I wrote it nice and non-confrontational, and they got it. I'm glad I remembered that because this is the message that I have for all our listeners right now, specifically the progressive ones. When you go into chats or Nextdoor or whatever, use the things that we talk about here in a non-confrontational manner. Ask questions like, explain to me one for one. Okay, Bidenomics. How does Bidenomics actually translate into these higher prices? Ask them to explain it, and before they explain, says, because the way I see it is, and then you go ahead and you give the explanations that we talk about here. It is very important that we populate the ethos with it. You may not convince that person that said Biden inflation, but you know who you're going to have thinking? That other person that reads that thread, right? They're going to read that thread, and even if that other person doesn't, they are so stubborn or so messed up in the mind, they don't want to see it. A lot of people do. And what happened in this thread is a perfect example. People were liking my comment so well that she decided to just delete it because she couldn't take it that here we were getting something done. So I'm asking all of you out there, get onto the chats, get onto the threads, get onto Reddit, get onto Facebook, and comment. Don't ever get mad. Just comment with the things we discuss here and leave that into the ethos, leave that into the space. I do a lot of that, right? Commenting so that we can not necessarily educating the person who wrote the silly thing, but educate others that would read the silly thing. I got another video that I need to show. It's 10 minutes long. I tell you what, I'll play that tomorrow because I only have 12 minutes and I'd like to read some more of this stuff here that we have here. Michael Rudden will give me hell if I don't read some of this stuff, okay? Paul, this is why New York Spectrum 1.1, the pandemic relief of funding to help American farmers during the Trump administration went to black farmers, said Agricultural Secretary Tom Vilsack. Tom Vilsack is a good guy. He's a good guy. He's fairly moderate. Let's see what else we got here. Paul Fleming says, Tennessee representing Jones. Yesterday, I stood with farmers to take on corporate greed by restoring their right to repair their own equipment. Corporate monopolists are costing our local Tennessee farms $131 million a year while enriching themselves. We must fight for our farmers, not corporate profits. You see, Democrats and progressives are the one. Thank you, Jones. That's helping farmers. We have to change the paradigm. The farmers are screwed the most. Actually, believe it or not, farmers get screwed more by our system than people in urban areas. The poorest parts of this country is farmland, rural areas, etc. But they still vote against their own interests because they don't know. Fox News doesn't enlighten them. OAN doesn't enlighten them. And of course, now we got Epoch doesn't enlighten them. All right. Let's see. Eric Hayes says, Rudden, you pay off other loans. You do not quit asking other. All right. Slave mentality. Michael Rodney says, Egberto, one story about a young woman paying double her initial student loan due to interest payments. This needs to be seen as usury or worse. Exactly. That said, I have not heard of anyone paying more than double their initial student loan. If you have example, please share them for tomorrow's show. Business Insiders, I borrowed $50,000 to pay for college 10 years ago. Now I owe double. The interest fees are screwing people over. Again, remember, the interest rates will double your stuff every 7 point something years if you have an interest rate of, I think, 5 or 6. I don't remember how it goes, but you can see that it'll be doubled after 7 years. A lot of people have been paying for 30 years on their student loans with it making very little thing. I'll find some of that for you. Student loan relief or Pell Grant. I read that one already. Beach. Carl Cox says marketing economy is rigged in favor of mega rich corporations. We absolutely so. Michael Rene says, Egberto, no, I found one where she's owing triple what she borrowed for her student loan debt due to 7% interest. See, there you go. I just said that, and you found, Michael, you're good. All right. Eric Hayes says, Egberto, the ag ran on taking Orange Man down, and the judge thinks he knows real estate. Okay. COVID ran economy into the ground. It wasn't COVID that ran economy into the ground. It was Mr. Trump who didn't handle COVID like an intelligent person that ran it into the ground. Michael Cisak says AG Letitia James screwed over James Doyle, who loaned $3 million to a property in New York. That AG James said was worth $80 million, but actually was only $12 million. Oh, really? Well, I mean, so charge her. You know why you can't? Because you get a lot of bad information. Another piece of bad information. All right, Paul Fleming says share of Donald Trump's social media company, Truth Central, could start trading on the stock market as early as Monday. It would immediately raise his net worth by around $3 billion, and he may be able to pay his legal bills, including the $454 million penalty. There is the answer. Capitalism. He's going to make money out of nothing. There you go. Capitalism. Again, guys, look at that. I had heard that before and I completely forgot it. Donald Trump is going to be taking Truth Central public. Immediately, that stock is going to be worth something, right? He can cash in that stock. If he's $3 billion, he can cash in a sixth of it. Even if that stock tanks, he's already cashed in. That's capitalism. That's what I'm talking about. That makes no sense. Bridge MC, Ron DeSantis signed healthcare bills into law today, which did not include expansion for Medicaid or affordable coverage. One day after House Republicans proposed to cut Medicare, Social Security, the number is too exuberant, like $8 trillion to tax cut for the rich. Trump's added on the debt. Anti-healthcare agenda will hurt Florida's the most. And that is the message that we have to continuously get out there, folks. That's what we got to get out there. All right. Bree says, not sure if Truth Social will go public. They are still thinking about it. I hope they do. Lee Grant says, according to the recent Gallup poll, 28% of Americans consider immigration to be most important issue facing the United States. The percentage has risen from 20% just a month ago. You guys are great in scaring the whole of bejesus out of people. Now, guys like me, we have to bring the temperature down. We got to bring some sanity into the system. Lee Grant says, okay, that's another conversation. Carl Cox, Egberto, Carl Cox here. I'm from Riverdale, Georgia, not South Metro Atlanta. Why did I say you were in Florida? Sorry, forgive me for saying that. Riverdale, Georgia. Riverdale, Georgia. Egberto Willis, when Paul Fleming's seen this, from migrant farm worker to astronaut, a true story is now a movie. Hernandez would become one of NASA's few Latino NASA astronauts, and his inspiring story is now the subject of Prime Video's A Million Miles Away, with actor Michael Peña starring as the engineer. Thank you for bringing that up. Of course, Hayes. Hey, boy, I'm gonna have to hit you up the head when I meet you for coffee, Eric Haynes. Let's see what else we got here. What I tell you, I got some homework for you, Eric Hayes. I want you to come prepared when we're having coffee with a piece of paper, and you tell me how Bidenomics directly created and made things more expensive. I want you to do that for me. Notice you got your homework ahead of schedule. I know the answers. So I want you to do the research and come and teach me that my answers are incorrect. Please do that, brother. All right. You know we're going to have a good time, but I want you to do that because well, anyway, we'll move on to that. All right. It seems like we're almost done with the list here. You would be going to college for several years for one degree. The cost is irrationally high. It's sad. We have started to do a whole lot of things, that are bad. But, I got to start winding down to get out of here. But I want to ask everybody, first of all, to support the program. And how can you support the program? It is very easy to support Politics Done Right. We have one link, politicsdoneright.com/support, where it lists all the links that you can use to the different forms to support us. But I'm going to highlight a few of them right now for supporting us. All right, Bridge MCP, my dear beautiful sister Bridge MCP, talk to me, sis.
Hey, you. I'm going to be real quick. I know it's running out of time. And thank you so much for the book. I loved it. I'm sitting here next to it. Can't wait to read it. And the other thing was that as far as student loans are concerned, I was one of those people. I had 2 student loans out. And what they did with the mortgage companies, they did with the student loans. They just resold them, changed the interest rate, and I'm one of those people that paid more than the loan. I went and made that comment. I'm like, yep, that was me. I paid that thing 3 times over, and I still owed thousands. And Bill Clinton signed a law, you can't claim that as bankruptcy, and it was bankrupting me. I was like, I've paid this over and over and over. I mean, how many times do I have to keep paying you? And then I ended up getting disabled, and only then did they dismiss my student loans. So people think like, oh, they're giving all these millions to all these people who don't pay, blah, blah, blah. That's not true. First of all, you have to qualify for it. Second, there's a lot of rules to be able to get it. And I was one of those people. I paid over and over for that thing for like 10 years, way past my master's. And I still had to pay. It seemed like I never could get the money down, ever. It never worked. It was like a game because they just kept on reselling it. Next thing I knew, it was like under this name. I was like, what are you talking about? It was under that name last month. And the interest rate would go up. So now I had to pay more. So people don't understand what they're talking about when it comes to student loans. That's all I wanted to say.
Bridge MCP, thank you so kindly for calling in to tell us a true story about student loan, because like you said, many people think, oh, this is just something to get people off of paying a bill that they owe. It's sad that it is not. But what is sad, more sad, is that we have given grants and all of that to corporations constantly in the order of trillions of dollars. And a lot of the poor people that are complaining about a few middle class people getting breaks on their student loans, or poor and middle class people getting breaks on their student loan, some middle class and poor people looking at them as being the users or being the degenerates, when it's our corporate structure that presents the degeneracy. So thank you for your story.
They bail out everybody else.
Right.
But anyway,
thank you for
Eric just posted about the expensive schools. I went to public schools, and then my only expensive one was my master's. So
and look.
Anyway.
Disregard that. Let me just tell you, I went to the University of Texas because I had to start out by paying most of my stuff because I started out, as a Eve. I forgot the name of the visa it came on, but I paid all of my stuff off, and some people come and they say, wait a minute. Well, if you paid your off, why do you have other? Why should somebody else do it? Let me give an example here based on what you just said. I paid my student loan off. I only paid probably 20% more than my total student loan was. Here it is. You paid 3 times as much. You paid more into the system than I did to pay back your loan. And you want to tell me that somehow those of us who paid our loan back have some right to say not to give other people's forgiveness for loans when, in effect, they've been ripped off, I am sorry. We have to learn, number one,
I know. It
honesty.
didn't happen to them.
Right. Number two, honesty, empathy, and compassion and humanity. Thank you so kindly for calling in, Breach.
All right. My love to all your family.
Yes, ditto. Anyway, folks, like I said, how can you support the program? Go to politicsdoneright.com/support. Politicsdoneright.com/support has all the links to support us. But if you want to support us right now, we take Patreon. We are a Patreon company. Those people who support us via Patreon can go to our website and read all of our books. All of our books are currently at our website, ready to be read. All of them are already uploaded. If you go to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon and become a Patreon subscriber. Now, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you can actually go ahead and go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, and all those books can be read as well for those who subscribe with a paid version of our newsletter. The newsletter is free, but if you subscribe for a paid version of our newsletter, you can read all of our books online. Right now, I think I've already uploaded 2 of them. I need to process and do the rest. But guess what? If you get to the newsletter and for some reason you can't get to the books, we'll just create an account for you on our website that gives you all the books. So, I mean, it's all there for you. Additionally, you can support us by going to politicsdoneright. Did I put the newsletter in there already? Yeah. You can support us as well by purchasing our books. And how do you purchase our books? politicsdoneright.com/books. And my latest book is Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. Racism Didn't Stop My Smile, Hope, or Journey Forward. And I guarantee you this book is was written for everybody. I bet you will get some positive affirmation out of this book. I have always used bad things that happened to me, negative that's happened to me, to move me forward. I used it as a strength builder. So please consider getting the book Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. And I think it through my eyes, a lot will happen. Egberto Willis, don't forget our mugs. Don't forget to get the mugs. I need to put these things back up on the screen. I had a new system. I'll get all of that. So folks, listen to me. Please support the program, politicsdoneright.com/support. But you can get the books. All of it is in there right now. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willis. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willis. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.